Hello.
Hello. My God, hello.
Hello. Welcome back. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, y'all. This is what date is it today for us? Thursday.
Today's Thursday. Yeah. So, I guess first of all, we obviously did not come out maybe not so obviously. We didn't come out with an episode last week. Just with everything
Hey,
going
I
on.
had people ask.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Thank you for noticing our absence. Nothing happened to us. We're alive. Nothing bad happened. We just didn't because like the trial is starting and like I feel like there's just a lot going on. So we're kind of like just
Yeah.
pay respect and like we'll get into it later. But
Yeah.
thanks for coming back. Happy Saturday. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, bitches.
Thanks, you hoes. Except you, mom, you're not. And Calvin's mom, you're not.
I
Unless you
hope
guys
they
want to
don't
be.
listen. I hope they do not listen.
Your mom is such a stan though. Like I love it. She's like she messages the Instagram every so often. I'm like,
Oh my
yes.
God, yeah. Every picture I post on my story, she'll like send me like something about it, or like she'll do like a heart eyes or something.
Yeah. She's
And
great.
remember when I posted like a butt pic, and she was like, "Yes, I need to work out more, bitch." And I was like, "Oh my God, mom."
Mom, please stop.
Okay.
But anyways, oh, well, let's just jump into the first segment, I guess. What have you been obsessed with this week? I feel like you told me yesterday, but I don't remember what you said.
First.
Oh, okay. Well, one of two things. I've been playing this solitaire game on my phone. I think it's called like Tri-Peaks Solitaire. If I were to admit how much money I've spent on this game, I would be very embarrassed. But like that's all I do with my time. Like if I have downtime, I'm just like, I'm gonna play this game. I have to beat all these events and do all these things. So that's one thing I've been obsessed with. And the second thing I've been obsessed with, and this is like, yeah, I guess within the last week, the whole interview with Meghan Markle and I don't know if he's still considered Prince Harry or former Prince Harry. I've been like following it and I will read. The thing is, I don't really care about the royal family like that much. Like part of
Yeah.
it interests me, but like obviously we live in America. We don't have like a I almost said matriarch, monarchy here, and I don't really think they hold a lot of power there anyway. It's more just like a status thing. But yeah, I've been obsessed and I fell asleep watching the interview yesterday, but everything that I've read so far is like super crazy and it's like, wow, what the heck? It's great. It's like, wow. So I've been obsessed with that.
Okay.
What have you been obsessed with?
I feel like I have to sneeze. Oh, no, I don't. Okay.
If you ever had to sneeze, look into the light and it'll make you sneeze.
Ew, I don't want to sneeze right now. But
Mhm.
okay, I've been obsessed with smoothies. Yes.
Yeah, because didn't you have one last night when we FaceTimed?
Yeah, I was because usually I just make a protein shake, like just the mix and like water and like shake it up because just like I'm just a fucking lazy ass bitch. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I've been recently into making like smoothies, so I'll put like fruit into it.
What is your favorite fruit combination for smoothies?
I like anything tropical. So like something with pineapple or mango and then strawberries.
Wow, we are friends.
Oh, why? What do you like? Same.
I same. I really like pineapple. I like guava or more tropical fruit. I hate bananas in smoothies because I feel like whenever you put a banana in a smoothie, like all you can taste is banana.
Oh my God, you're
Um,
such a banana hater. Wow.
I really don't care for bananas, but yeah, I prefer like something tropical, something with like berries and pineapple. Um, yeah. Wow,
Your
now I want a
work.
smoothie.
I know, I've been thinking about Jamba Juice for like probably 2 weeks now.
Oh, yeah, you should get a smoothie. You're
Right?
welcome.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, that's what I've been obsessed with. I've been making smoothies. Yeah.
Mm.
Like after the gym, I'll make a smoothie and drink it.
Okay, so this is kind of side related only because you said you drink protein shakes. Do you use a shaker bottle?
Yeah, I have one. Why?
I watched this guy on TikTok. His name is like Dutch something. He lives in New York. He's a gay white guy. And he's like, yeah, I tried to convince people I was straight because I would just carry a shaker bottle around with me. And I was like, is that a straight man thing? And I was like, don't
Oh yeah,
anyone.
it's like a gym bro thing.
Oh, okay. And I
That's
was
why.
like, don't, doesn't everybody have like a shaker bottle at some point in their life? Like, I didn't know. But that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's like a gym rat, gym bro,
Jim Bro. Bro Jim. Jim Bro sounds like a white
Jimbo.
guy name. Jim Bro. This is my brother, Jim Bro.
Okay.
Anyway.
Anyway, our topic today, like as we've said, last week, out of respect, I was like, maybe we should be silent because the trial is going to start, at
Mhm.
the George Floyd trial.
Derek Chauvin trial.
Oh yeah, fuck.
George Floyd's not on trial. Yeah, it's a thing.
Fuck.
People, it's a common thing. But I'm trying to get into the habit not to call you out, but like to correct people because
No,
George
call
Floyd
me
didn't
out,
do
bitch.
anything.
I
You got
know.
it.
Shit. Yeah, it's just like his name is like so big.
Right.
I don't even know how to say the other guy's last name,
Chauvin.
so yeah. I've never known though.
Honestly, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. I've heard like different variations, but I'm pretty sure it's Chauvin.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's his trial, and they are selecting the jury. And was it this week you went to the protest and stuff? It was just
Yeah.
Monday, right?
So
Oh my
this
God,
last,
wow.
yeah, it's weird because I was off of work Monday and Tuesday, because I knew I was gonna go to the protest, and honestly, one, I took Tuesday off because I was like, I can take a couple days off. Also, I was like, if I get arrested, I can't not show up to work on Tuesday if I get arrested on Monday. So I was like, I'll just take Tuesday off. But yeah, so Saturday there was a protest at Governor Walz's house at the governor's mansion, in protest to how they're treating and what their like the preparations were and are for this trial. If you're in the Twin Cities area, or if you've been downtown recently, basically the whole Hennepin County government building is like super barricaded, like with cement. The cement dividers they put up on like for construction and stuff,
Hmm.
like those with like chain link fences that go up another like 5-6 feet, and then there's like barbed wire, um, and that surrounds like a solid 4 to 5 square blocks, just like blocking off the entire area. And prior to like this week, they basically were like, you can't hold signs, you can't
Really?
congregate. Yeah, they're like, if anything of that happens, like you're gonna get arrested or cited. Um, you can't have like speakers set up, like basically anything in to do with protesting. They're like, nope, can't do it. And they were like, the Hennepin County put up signs like everywhere downtown apparently.
Whoa.
So they were like really trying to enforce, and that's why going into Monday or going into that really that was this week, I was like, wow, they're really just going to arrest all of us, because even within this little barricaded off area, they had an opening into it, and then it was like an open area where they're like, this is where you can protest. But if you've protested before and you're like familiar with things, that was really just like a kettle system. Like they wanted to let us in and then they wouldn't be able to let us out type of thing.
What's kettle system?
So a kettle like so this happened on an election night where the police had blocked off the people protesting the election, regardless, because like nobody wanted Trump to win, nobody wanted Biden to win. It was kind of like a how the hell did we end up here again? So people were going to take the highway, and they're now notoriously known as the 646 plus because the 646 people got arrested that night. So they took the highway as they do in protest time to time. And granted, this is like a Wednesday night at like 8 or 9 o'clock. Like there's not a lot of traffic, still in a pandemic. I think at that point restaurants had shut down again, or maybe not. But they got onto the highway and the police blocked them from the back and blocked them from the front and told them, you have to get off the highway. They were like, but you kettled us into here, so how are we supposed to get off? And they're like, well, I guess we're arresting you. So they arrested all 646 plus of them. So I think that's kind of what they were anticipating to do on Monday, because they were trying to like lure us into one area and then block it off so they could be like, well, you're all here and we're going to arrest you. You're on federal ground. But that's not what happened, thankfully. So yeah.
Okay, what is kettle? Like the kettle and like
So
to
like
boil water?
No, like kettling is like you're trying to like filter people into like one space and kind of like enclose or like entrap them.
I've never heard of this word. Okay, anyway.
But yeah, that's kind of what it looked like they were doing. Saturday, there were a lot of most of the main speakers on Saturday were people who
Wait. What days were you out?
I was out Saturday and Monday.
Okay.
So Saturday at the governor's mansion, they had family members and loved ones of people who were killed by police like brutality throughout Minnesota. Let's see, there was at least 7 or 8 speakers. And that was pretty, I don't know. I mean, I've heard all 8 of them speak prior, so I'm familiar with the stories, or I'm familiar with like some of the family members. Half of them I would say are about like mental health episodes where they have like a mental health disorder or they have a health disorder. And the police were called. One in particular, I believe his name is Kobe Heisler. He was at home and he was having a mental health crisis. Police were called. And in the time that they were trying to dispatch, he had been calmed down and they basically were like, hey, we don't need you to come in here anymore. If you actually show up, he's probably going to get aggressive or like agitated again. So like, don't bother. Like, we're fine. We've got it all situated. Lo and behold, police show up anyway. And they're kind of like talking to him for like 10, 15 minutes. And so he gets up. And because the police had been to the house before, they knew the layout. So when he got up to leave, they thought he was trying to run outside to escape for whatever reason. And they shot and killed him in front of his grandma. And that was I think that was a little north of the cities. I don't think I'd ever seen his mom before, but she was a speaker there. They talked about Justin Tigan. He was a guy that was shot by the police and thrown in a dumpster. It's just like all these terrible, terrible stories where like the police don't treat people like humans, let alone like are convicted. And none of these families ever got charges brought onto the police that killed their loved ones. So it's good to hear just because like we're dealing with the same thing now. And something that they all really tried to push and drive while we were there, saying like this trial means a lot to them because most of them didn't get a trial. So if they can start to see a change in the system, they know that they can hopefully prevent the hurt that they're going through for other families and things like that. So it's heavy. I have the videos. I posted them on my personal Facebook. I can always upload them too so people can watch. But yeah, they're really interesting and I think it's good to see. But that was Saturday. There was like a small march. It wasn't anything crazy. Police presence was like super heavy for whatever reason. I don't know what it is about St. Paul police, but they always just seem to be there when they're not really needed for anything. Miguel got kind of cornered by a bunch of cops and they didn't recognize him because he had his motorcycle painted. So they like basically had hands on guns, like ready to go off because they didn't know who he was.
What do you mean didn't know who he was?
So Miguel, because he is in BRAP, and there usually is another group. They are marshals, Justice Frontline Aid. They're usually they're like volunteers, they're medics, things that will keep protesters safe, whether it's like blocking streets or if they need medical attention, people need medical attention, things like that. They will help with that and just make sure that everybody's safe. If there are like anti-protesters, they'll put themselves in between the anti-protester and the protesters just so like nothing bad happens. Like there's no physical altercations or people aren't getting unnecessarily angry or like nasty with each other. So the police they typically don't do anything. They're pretty good about keeping their distance just because they know like I guess they don't know. They don't realize that their presence can be really traumatizing to a lot of these families. I know I went to a protest in Woodbury where we were protesting for Marcus Henderson, who was killed at a Woodbury hotel after he was being held hostage. He escaped and he ran out of the room and the police shot and killed him. And like that cop that killed him was at the protest. So it's like it's triggering for these families to have to continuously see the officers or be reminded of the people who took their loved ones away. So yeah, it was interesting. But that was Saturday. Monday morning was super early. That one started.
How early?
8:00.
Wait, the trial, the jurisdiction didn't start until Tuesday, right? Or which day?
So it was originally supposed to start Monday, but I forget why they prolonged it. I believe it had something to do with the charges, because as of today,
I think so too.
Yeah, they reinstated the third-degree murder charge, which I don't know necessarily how to feel about it, because I think right now he's charged with manslaughter at the second-degree murder, second-degree murder but unintentional killing, and then now the third degree. So with that, I think at max he could get 40 years, but with the third degree, I think it's like a max of like 20, which we'll see. Have we talked about trial predictions?
No, I was gonna ask, are you like one to be like any charge is fine, or do you want like a specific charge, or are you just like any time is time? How do you feel?
I believe that, how do I say this? I don't think that he will get charged for more than 10 or 12 years, because the only other cop that's been convicted in Minnesota was sentenced, I think, for 10 or 12 years. And
what about the black cop?
That he only got 10 or 12 years.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he was a Somali cop, and he killed a white woman on accident, and he got 10 or 12 years. So I'm assuming that they'll kind of do the same. Right now, I don't know. I don't think that there's anything that's going to make everybody happy. I think if he got life in prison, or like the full max of the 40 years, people would probably be like, okay, you did what was right. Because honestly, like, how do you kneel on someone's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and you have 3 officers looking onto you, and like nobody does anything? They never called for an ambulance, like none of that. Like it was just done. So I would personally, if he was given the full 40 and everything was kind of taken care of in that sense, I would be more at ease. A lot of the things, Family Supporting Families is a organization. I know that there's another half of that organization name that I'm forgetting, but they have proposed 8 or 9 bills to office to be passed in Minnesota in regard to police brutality and community controlled police, and how to kind of handle those situations for like mental health episodes, or for like petty crimes and things like that, where people end up being killed because the police are called and they're trigger happy, and like whatever the case. A lot of it's like body cam footage released in 48 hours. Community control police. You can have like police from all these super suburban towns policing, like Minneapolis, St. Paul, things like that. But to answer your question, I don't think that he's going to get charged too much. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like acquitted the way that the jury selection is going right now.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Jury selection, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel. I don't know. Because like, I was thinking about this the other day, like how much can we blame the system and how much can we blame the jury? Because the jury is supposed to be a reflection on the community, but it's not really, because they're like, they're trying to stack the jury or whatever.
And that's the thing. Both sides have to approve of the jurors. And here I'll read you. Georgia Fort is an independent media journalist who she's out at a lot of protests, not just for like BLM or like police brutality. I've seen her at like Line 3 protests and other things too. So she just reports on news that's happening in the Twin Cities. And she was, I think, the only media person allowed into the courtroom during all this. So she's been streaming live updates about things. If you want more information, I definitely would follow her on Facebook. It's just Georgia, like the state, and Fort, F-O-R-T. She's been giving good updates about jury selection resumes. So this is the most recent. The first person questioned was a male who was selected for jury. He has a cousin who used to be a cop, a friend who works for forensics, and also said a cop's testimony has more weight than a civilian. So it's the first person. Let's see. Second person of the day was sent home. She had an uncle who was a deputy and was uncertain how she would decide who was telling the truth if an officer and a civilian had different stories about the same incident. Third person was sent home. A man of color said he has a somewhat negative view of the defendant, although he doesn't believe in defunding the police. Fourth person was selected, man of color, not from this country. Fifth person was sent home, had strong views on social justice issues, has a relative that was a judge in Minnesota. Another juror was not called in. They waived their spot due to their age. Sixth juror sent home, female, mother, attorney. Volunteered in jails, believed police deserve more respect, believed she could be impartial. Last juror was sent home. He did not do a good job convincing the courtroom that he could be impartial. But I believe the jurors that were selected, one was a chemist who is engaged and believes all lives matter. Second juror selected is a female who has an uncle who's an officer, believes that what the officer says has the same merit as anyone else. And third juror selected is an auditor who has a friend who works for MPD, who has a canine, but doesn't think that will impact him to deliver a verdict.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah.
It's not looking great right now, truthfully. And I was talking about this with a couple people I know on Monday. And I had said, I mean, truthfully, what it comes down to is how those people in this court and how the people in this system view and value the life of George Floyd versus, well, the life of George Floyd and Minneapolis. Because, and I say this because history repeats itself and people don't learn, and I'll get into this after I explain this. The Rodney King riots, or the LA riots in 92, happened because of the Rodney King verdict. I have no doubt in my mind that the same exact thing will happen, especially given the tensions, and we can talk about this too as well, especially with the rising tensions between the Asian and the Black communities, the same way it was in LA during those riots, where a lot of Korean store owners were killing Black people and vice versa. A lot of Black people were robbing Korean stores and a lot of people were looting in general. I think the same will happen, and they could prevent all of that if they convict Chauvin. I don't think, I shouldn't say that, but at the same time, because they've separated him from the other three officers, part of me thinks that they'll pin all of it on him and let the other three kind of go.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like Chauvin is the one to be held accountable at most because he was the most senior officer and he is the one who physically did it. And
he has the one that's like the past. Like he has.
Yeah, he's like 22 complaints, and George Floyd was not the first man he's killed while being a cop either. So I think that's something that she could take into account as well. But at the same time, it's kind of one of those things like if you're seeing somebody at school getting bullied and you just let it happen, you're just as bad as the bully because you're not doing anything about it. But at the same time, I think police...
Well, are you though?
I think so. I mean, if you see somebody doing something wrong and you know it's blatantly wrong and like you could do something about it, because I mean, look what happened now.
But what if you feel like you can't do something about it?
Right. And I think that's what the issue is with the police system, is that it's treated like a fraternity or this brotherhood, because if one of those officers would have been like, hey man, like ease up, he would have been like, fuck you, I'm the senior officer, don't tell me what to do. And then what happens at the end of the day? They're like, you don't get to patrol with him anymore, or you're made fun of. So it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword. But like at the same time, look at them now. They're all being charged with murder. So it's like you either stand up and like you're made fun of in the precinct, or you go to jail. Like one of those definitely has to be better than the other. Like you can quit being a cop if you don't feel like things aren't being done right, in my opinion. Or you fight that because you're in the system and you have the right to. So
I don't know. I don't know. Because I'm not a cop, Avi. But Um, it's always like, do I say something or do I protect myself? I don't know.
Right. And
I do think that he will get the main guy, Derek, will get pinned, and I think that they'll let the other three go. Um, because I don't think they have a good case on the other three.
right.
Uh, but the main guy, Derek, I think that they have the biggest case. I'm just afraid of what the jury is going to say because I read articles that are going to say that, that are saying that they're going to try and shift the focus on George Floyd's like drug use and how he was like was on meth and on fentanyl and how he was on he had coronavirus and he had like these
Right.
health
And it
issues
had
and
nothing
that's
to
what
do
killed
with the
him.
asphyxiation, but none of
Yeah.
the autopsy reports I've seen or read about have said that. So I think that they're really trying to throw that out. And they've also said that they can't use his like past criminal history to.
Well, to me, no,
that was it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was gonna say, well, to me, that seems like a weak argument that like he, was on drugs and blah 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 and whatever else. So I think they're trying to argue that like he was on the cusp of like he was gonna go anyway, or like
right.
the fact that he was arrested, that stress could have caused him to have a heart attack and die. So he was on his way out. I think that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
And that scares me because the jury that they have selected, I'm not quite sure if they want educated people. I don't know if they want
right and
not educated people, but it's very easy to like sway that if you're speaking to someone who is uneducated.
And that's the weird thing, and that's the really shitty thing about this case and this trial is that nobody in the state of Minnesota is impartial. Like nobody has.
Yeah, there's no way you can be impartial.
No, because there's no way that you're going to be like, I could see it either way. Like either you know that he killed that man,
and
because you watched,
you made up your mind already,
right? And that's so.
It's been almost a year. Like, exactly, you've made up your mind,
and that's the thing because you're gonna get one side or the other. You really can't. You can't come into this with no bias at this point because if you have, you must have been fucking asleep for the last 10 months and been like, what happened? Okay, let me be in the jury. Let me hear it for the first time. Like you would need fresh minds that had no idea, no recollection of what's going on, like no history of either of them, and then just presented in court.
Are the jurors in like Minneapolis, or are they?
Yeah, they have to live. Like, they have to live within Hennepin County. That's how jury system works.
Oh, interesting.
So it's supposed to be by your peers, and that's the thing that sucks. Because, like, I mean, I've seen it in Minnesota. Is very like we're like mildly progressive. We're like white woman feminism progressive. Like we're not anything super crazy, but we're still like a half and half state. Like it's not that many more. Like we're a blue state, but it's not crazy.
Yeah, it's like by an edge, you know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, let's take a break and then we'll come back. I wanted to talk about something, but I forgot what I wanted to talk about. Oh, I want to talk about if you think that we would be jurors, like if we think we would be selected. We talked about a little bit, but whatever. We'll come back and do it.
We'll be back. Enjoy the commercial.
Yes, yay! What up?
Hey again.
Hey y'all, we're back.
Into the second half.
I feel like this is gonna be a long episode, probably.
Yeah, probably will get a little longer.
Sorry, you guys.
It's just so much to talk about. It's a lot to cover.
Yeah, it's a lot to cover, and we like to talk, so fucking deal with it.
Surprise. So you want to know how? Like, I was on a jury once.
Really? Can you say?
Yeah. So I got dismissed, though. So I kind of understand how the process works.
Get dismissed?
No, okay, something if you know me and like you really know me, you know that I love, excuse me, I'm drinking too much juice. I love court TV. So and I also am a big fan of Legally Blonde, which is kind of like meh. But I love court TV. I really enjoy just hearing about cases and things. And I wanted to be on that jury. You can actually call in once a year to do jury duty and like serve. So I was excited when I got picked. And so the way
you didn't get picked though.
Yeah, I mean they send you the letter and then you have to show up like the first day, or they let you know if you have to show up the first day. So I had to show up and I had to be there like 8 a.m. and they basically have you sit around until like they start kind of questioning you like individually, and they had me fill out this questionnaire because the case presented to us was about a immigrant, this white immigrant man who was being tried for raping a girl.
Mm-hmm.
So they had us fill out a questionnaire about things, and some of the questions were like, how do you feel about women drinking with men and like not being left alone, or do you know or have you ever experienced sexual assault, things like that. And because I have a really good friend that I grew up with who was sexually assaulted for a couple of years in my like preteen adolescence, I had put that, and I was honest, open and honest about it. And I had said I had someone close to me go through a similar experience, and because I said that and put that in my testimony,
Yeah, they were like, "Bitch, you're out of here."
Yeah, but I also was like, I think like some 40% of women experience sexual assault. So I mean, if you take that 40%, it's not going to be that big of a degree of the amount of women or men that know somebody who have seen someone or experienced
that
something.
doesn't make any sense to me though. Like, how do they select a jury? Like, what kind of question is that? Like, I don't know.
Well, some of the questions that they had asked,
what kind of person are they looking for? Do you know what I mean? Like,
they want someone that will sway and get their person off on like whatever the case. Like they want to win the case for their client. So it's like it's really stupid.
I know, but both sides have to be like, yeah, this person work.
Well, because the jury, especially for things like that, you have to be all or nothing. Like you can't have a hung jury. You can't be like half and half or like 2/3, especially with like murder and stuff. Like you can't have, even if you have one person disagree, like that's it. Yeah. Like you'll just sit in there until like you come up with something.
I don't think I would ever be selected for jury duty. I think I'm too
opinionated.
Yeah, me too. And just, I feel like if they find my Instagram, they're going to be like, oh, this bitch is too loud.
And that's the thing, because the questions on this one, I forget what, I know one of them was like, how do you feel about the BLM movement and things like that? And I was like, ugh. I'm like, what do you say that wouldn't get you tossed out? Like if you say, oh, it's bullshit.
Then you can't be like, no opinion.
Yeah, because like
I feel like that's a lie, because everyone has an opinion.
Everybody has a bias, and that's the thing that sucks. Like most about it is a lot of people have like an unsolicited bias or just a bias that like they're not aware about, aware of either.
Subconscious bias, you have one. Everyone has one.
Everybody has it. So it's like, how do you fend that? Like, how do you defend yourself in that? Or how do you not let that come out? So I don't know. I don't think I would be selected for a jury.
I would not be.
At least not in this case. I would love to be a juror and like have the facts and evidence. But the thing is, here's the thing. Everybody saw an 8-minute and 46-second video of Derek Chauvin on his neck. And that video came on the news the other day. While we were staying downtown, and I have never watched the video, and I saw.
Oh, I haven't watched it either.
I literally wanted to cry. Like I saw maybe a split second, I like turned away, but like the audio was there, and I hadn't listened to the audio either, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't do this." So if I knew I had to be in the jury and I'd have to watch that video, there's no way I'd watch that and be like, "Yeah, this man doesn't deserve to go to jail either." But I guess like at that point, that's evidence, and they're saying like, "Oh, that's what happened." So. I don't know.
Yeah. It's gonna be a crazy trial, and it's like on TV, right? Like they haven't done that. I thought they haven't done that since like fucking OJ or something.
Yeah, basically. So it's gonna be really interesting. It's gonna be like a long process. They have dates set for when defense arguments are supposed to be made, or like a prediction of when the verdict is supposed to be made, but really it just depends. And now with like the 3rd degree charge being added on or reinstated, it could take longer. So I mean, I'm not holding my breath. I'm not excited to see. I don't know. I just have a lot of anxiety built up about it, because not that everything that I've partook not everything that I was
partition.
Driver roll of the partition, please. but not everything that I was involved in, like, it feels like it would be worth nothing if, like, everybody's been out, like, literally the entire world was protesting this and knew that it was wrong. And then if, like, the fate of all of this, like, remains and lies in the hands of, like, 12 jurors who, at this point, I feel like were just randomly selected out of, like, a shit show, is kind of like, all right, so now what? I don't know. It's so annoying.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
It stresses me
I guess
out.
we'll have to see.
Yeah, so, I mean, it'll be interesting. The march on Monday and, like, the gathering, though, was like 800 or 900 people. It was pretty good. There are a lot of good speakers and just basically saying, like, this is our time, and honestly, all of this could have been prevented. I hate to be that way, but, like, if the 2 white guys that got away with killing Emmett Till didn't get away with killing him, and, like, laws were put in place, then every single person that's been killed that we know about or we don't know about probably would have gotten justice. So, like, that's the way I look at it. Like, all of this was preventable, but
You mean all of this was preventable, like, what? Like way back when?
Yeah, because
like if it started like way back then?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
holding people accountable? Okay.
Yeah, because if you were to hold people accountable, even, like, after the Don King, because Don King was recorded. Or no, not Don King. Sorry, that's the announcer guy. Rodney King.
Yeah, I was like, Don King.
Rodney King was recorded and that was shown on live TV about him getting beat up by the cops. And those cops got acquitted. Like, they were let go. And, like, that's when that's when the riots broke out. So it's like, we see that, and then we saw it again with Chauvin. We see it with Breonna Taylor. We see it with, like, Sandra Bland. And, like, a lot of these people don't even get charged. So the fact that it's getting this far and, like, going to court, like, that means something. But, and I talked to my dad about this yesterday. He's like, yeah, my whole life I've seen it come this far, and it's still, like, it's no change.
It, like, falls flat.
Yeah, and he's very doubtful of it. I don't blame him. I mean, he's been on this earth a lot longer than I have, and
Isn't that so sad, though, to have that being like, yeah, this is a big trial, but, like, whatever. Like, because I've seen it time and time again.
Because that's what he said. He's like, I'm not going to get too involved because for what? It's probably going to be the same outcome. And he's like, if he's convicted, great. If it doesn't, it's kind of like wasn't really expecting it anyway.
Yeah, but it's like, if he was convicted, like, then what? Like, victory, but
there's still, like,
because
there's
what changes?
Still work to be done. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I know another bill that they're trying to pass is if they want, like, records of cops. So if they want to be able to, like, look up if you've ever killed anybody, and, like, that should be public record. Or, like, if you get fired from being a police officer for, like, improper use of, like, a firearm or whatever the case, things like that you can't just sign up to be a cop in another city or another state. Like, that should be something that you're not allowed to do.
Yeah, and I just want to say that, like, yes, if he is convicted, that's great. But we want justice, but we also want change. Like, just because he's convicted doesn't mean, like, oh, it's over.
It doesn't fix everything, and that's
and when, how do I say this? I feel like if he is convicted, that will calm everything, or calm. It'll calm down everything, but also at the same time, it's like, don't let that, like, shut us up, you know?
Exactly.
Like, don't let that calm us down enough to be like, well, okay, well, things will work out and
things will go back to
fine.
Normal.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of the takeaway from this is that no matter which way the verdict goes, there's still a lot of work to be done. And this is just one case out of, like, thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a big win, and hopefully it'll be a big win. And it's something that people will be able to, like, take a breath and, like, breathe about. But I don't think it's not like an end all. It's not like it's again, like, putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Like, it's not anything that's
gross. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you can't do that. Like, it's still there. You still have to tend to it, and it's still it's not going to fix anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see for Derek Chauvin to go to jail. And the other officers, if it's not the same amount of time, it's like anything with accessory. and things like that. I mean, there's still some time to it, so I think that's valid.
I would like to see them get some time, but
I'm not
I don't really
anticipating
think.
it at
Yeah, I'm
all.
like, I'm not gonna think. I don't think that's gonna happen. But oh, there's my roommate doing
Hello.
cardio upstairs. Okay. What should we talk about now? Should we move on, or do you want to keep
Yeah,
talking about
that's
this?
really all I had to
Ow.
report about it. I mean, we'll continue to provide updates as things progress and as things move on. I'm following decently close on this. I'm going to continue to go out during all of this throughout the next couple months anyway. So I'll keep you guys posted. I mean, oh, and I'll say this, like there wasn't really police presence on Monday. They were all undercover, if anything, but they definitely were ready to like pop off. Like
Ooh.
they had like
How
their,
could you tell on the cover? Was it obvious?
yeah, a lot of the time it's just obvious, or they have undercover
They're like,
police
"Hello,
cars.
kids."
Yeah, you guys want to buy some drugs? But no, we had gone out Sunday night and just like surveilled the area and walked around downtown and just were kind of scoping out to see where things were and how things were going. So
yeah,
but yeah, we can carry on.
Very cool. Okay. Another thing that Latif and I wanted to talk about was the increase on hate crimes on Asian Americans within
Yeah.
the past like few months.
Well, in like the last year, I looked up a statistic recently. Well, honestly, just before you called.
Oh.
I looked up because I knew that there were a lot of these going on, and I've heard like firsthand accounts of things happening. And I think just in the year 2000, it was nearly 3,000 hate incidents towards Asian Americans in 2020 alone. So, I mean, you take that, and it's still continuing now. That's pretty insane to me. And most of them are elderly, which is the thing that bothers me the most about it, other than the fact that they're just minorities. But yeah, I don't know. It just hurts. It's just so sad to see that like this is what we've resorted to, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wanted to say this anecdote, and then I guess we can talk about it. But the other day, I had a friend, an Asian male, and he was like talking, and he was like, "I'm going to say something political," and I was like, "Okay, say it, I guess." And he was like, "I wonder if all the Asian people who, were supporting Black Lives Matter and like going to all the protests and doing all that stuff, I wonder if they like regret it now." And I was like, first of all, your tone seems very pointed at me. And I basically was like, no, like, because to me, I think he was trying to say like, do you think that Asian people that support Black Lives Matter regret it now that it feels as though like Black people are targeting Asians? So it's like you got our back, but we don't got yours, kind of thing. I think that's what he was trying to.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, and I'm not defending people who are doing this by any means. When I say this, but I will say I think anybody involved in the movement knows that neither of those are right. Like it's not okay in either sense. Are there people in the movement who believe in like Black supremacy? Absolutely. Is that like a very small, minute thing? Absolutely. So I wouldn't look at it that way. If someone says that to me, that means like your allyship is conditional, to be honest. Like it sounds like you're only wanting to support Black Lives Matter when it's convenient. But if anything, like I've heard people in the community and in the movement say things in support of like defending Asian elderly.
Yeah, and that's what I basically said that back to him. I was like, no, because the people who understand like allyship and stuff like that, like all the cool, like I don't know, all the cool like down Asian people understand that like that's the Black people and the people that are attacking Asian Americans. That's like not the masses. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know how to explain it. And also like. And all the Black people that are cool and down, they know that like not every Asian person like hates Black people. You know what I mean? Like it's like a small subsection of. Hello, sorry. Okay, it's like a small section of the group that is like fighting, but that doesn't mean it's like the whole group. And I saw on TikTok,
Of course.
because that's our news source now,
Mhm.
apparently. There's a lot of discourse between these young Asian Americans and these young Black Americans, and it's interesting because it's like, where did this come from suddenly?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like very like, what?
And
It's like, hello, we're back in the 90s. Like, what's going on?
I think it's one of those things where it's like you can support both party, like you can support both races, and it doesn't mean that like you're impartial or like you think less of somebody else. Like, to me, that's stupid. Like, you shouldn't. It's not about picking sides. I don't want to say it's not about picking sides because there's a right and wrong side, but it's not about like, well, I rep this and this means that I have to do that. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. So
yeah. So my TikTok algorithm is like all fucked up. I don't know if I've said this on podcast already, but it's basically I watch like one video about like Asian American kids talking about like, you know, anti-Asian or being anti-Black or whatever. And then now all my videos are about all these kids like basically just arguing with each other about like who's right, who's wrong. I'm like, I don't want to see that TikTok. I fucking logged in to see like dumb shit. But anyway, so there's this one TikToker, like a young Black woman, and she was basically going off about how like there's like a lot of anti-Blackness in the Asian community, and like we as Black people shouldn't support the Asian community because they don't have our back. And basically I saw that, and then all my videos now are of people of
like
any race bashing her and being like, what is this girl talking about? And so it kind of made me open my eyes and be like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense, because any sane person would know that you cannot generalize a whole group, which is what she was doing. And as a Black person or as a Black female, for you to be like, don't generalize the Black community, but let's generalize this community, it like doesn't make any sense.
Well, and let's
you know
just
what I mean?
be honest here, and maybe this is just me, controversial but brave. I don't think the Asian community's always been supportive of the Black community, but at the same time, I wouldn't say that the Black community is very supportive of the Asian community. Yeah. There it is. I said it. Like that's what it is. And a lot of the time, and I think that this is a kind of a controversial thing, but very often, and you kind of see this more recently, and I know that some rappers and some people do have like some Asian descent or like are partially Asian, but you see a lot of that. I don't want to say like necessarily it's cultural appropriation, but it's definitely borrowing or buying into an Asian culture, especially Eastern Asian culture. And you have like people trying to infiltrate that, or even like the K-pop genre. And at the same time, you have Asian people trying to infiltrate like a Black music scene and things like that, where you have someone who for a long time was going by Rich Chicka is now changing his name to Rich Brian because he's learned like that's not okay. So like to me, neither community has been like exclusively supportive of the other. But at the same time, like that's because it's all systemic. Like the system that oppresses the Asian community also oppresses the Black community. And that's what happens when you're oppressed, is that you start to point your finger at the wrong people who are putting you there. Like it has nothing to do with us. It's like who's oppressing us and making us feel this type of way, you know?
Yeah, that wasn't, I don't think that was my point.
I know.
But I will, I'll like say it again. Cause I don't know, I don't think I said it very clearly, but, how do I say it? I don't know how to say it. Never mind. Wait, no, I'll try and say it. Wait, should I? I don't know.
While you're thinking,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, what I was trying to say is like, for you as a minority to be like, don't generalize my community, but let's generalize someone else's. Right. Doesn't make any sense, because like, you can't just be like, I don't like generalizations, but let's just do
It's
it to this
what is
community.
that saying?
You can't just do it when you like fit it.
What's
What?
that saying? It's like the pot calling the kettle black or whatever. Like that's one of those scenarios.
Yeah, I don't know what that really means, but
It's
yeah, it's like that.
yeah, it's like
Um,
you I don't like this, but I'm gonna do the same thing to you.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, that is something that she brought up as well. Like, oh, the Asian community doesn't support the black community doesn't support the Asian community, vice versa. But I mean, yeah, that is like it stems from a systemic place, and I don't think that people understand that.
Right.
Um, but it is interesting to see like this tension arise again because I, and maybe this is just me, and maybe it's just you too, but because we don't live in, we don't live in North Minneapolis or whatever. Um, there is a lot of tension. If you really think about it, there is, but it's just swept under the rug. If you really think about it, it's like two low income um,
Minority. Yeah.
races or ethnicities, minorities occupying the same space. Of course, there's going to be racial tensions. It's just that Latifah and I haven't seen it because we live in the suburbs. So for us to deny and like for me to be like, I don't know what that is. It suddenly appears. That's not really factual. It's always been there, but it's interesting to really see it now in the mainstream with all these attacks. I will say that I don't like the fact that the way the media portrays it, they will really, really push this agenda that like it's black against Asian, but in reality, it's like most of them I think are probably white.
A lot of the time, the
Asian.
one time that I've experienced it and like seen it firsthand, and granted, like I am in Minnesota, but like I was in Uptown literally a year ago when COVID first broke out, and I mean, if you're a friend of mine that's listening to this, there's like a 60 to 70% chance that you're also Asian, like a 50% that you were also there that night. But but we had gone out we went out for Miguel's birthday, and like a lot of our friend group is Southeast Asian, whether it's like Filipino, Hmong, Lao, just like a mix, Indonesian. We went out and like it's obviously a decent amount of us, and a lot of us are Asian looking or just Asian, and a guy walks past us and says something about COVID, and then like a yelling match just like breaks out, and it was just like a white guy making some stupid joke, and someone was like, what did you say? He's like, oh, nothing. And it's like people are so quick to do that. And the thing that gets me about this shit is that all these attacks aren't happening in like all these rural areas. Like they're happening in like Sacramento, New York City, Chicago, LA. Like that's what bothers me most about these things going on. Like they're happening in diverse areas, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, that's the thing. That's what I said. It's like, two low income minorities occupying the same space. Like there's a lot of tension there. What is interesting to me is that like, is it just, I mean, it is on the rise, but is it just like it's just being reported now, or has it been happening for a long time?
I think it's been happening for at least, I think COVID really is what jump-started it, which is really ironic because a lot of you motherfuckers did not believe in COVID and were like, this shit's fake. But as soon as you see an old Asian grandma, you're like, let me deck her because of COVID. Like, I don't understand.
She gave it to us. This bitch gave it to
so like, that's what I don't understand. But I know that there's been an increase since the beginning of the pandemic. Because wasn't there like there was a woman who was like, I don't know if it was in New York, but there was like an old Chinese woman set like on fire or something.
Yeah, well, and it goes back to like the police brutality. It's like, the black community has always been like, this has been happening for years. It's just being documented.
Right, you're
like,
all just finding out about it.
So that's why it seems like it's like so large, and like new. So I don't know. I can't say because I don't live in those areas. I don't know. I don't have firsthand experience. But what really gets me is like, why the elderly?
Right.
Like, what?
Why are you finding someone that you know? Like, how? To me, and this is like obviously a very vague and a very like far out description, but like that's like Mike Tyson fighting like Kevin Hart. Like, it's like someone who's been training and like someone who definitely knows what they're doing, fighting like some tiny person. Like, you have no chance to win this fight. Like, why are you picking on someone that you know that you're going to hurt? Like, and hoof. Like it
Yeah.
looks stupid either way. Like, okay, either yeah, you beat up an old person, and like, does that make you a good person, or you
Oh, the old person beats up
they like
you.
beat your
Ooh.
ass, and like, how stupid do you
Yeah.
look for your ass beat by some old man? So I don't know. But it's sad.
It's just a mess. Like it's sad. It's a mess. It's like and what you said that really opened my eyes earlier. I didn't really think about that was the tension that could arise after the conviction if he is not convicted against the Asian American community. I don't know if that ties into
Well,
it,
because
but I
one of
don't
the
know.
officers is Hmong, so I mean,
Oh yeah, I
so I guess
guess
that could part because I know for I had a lot of
because at the time during like the Rodney King, like Latasha Harlins, like she was shot
Korean
by
woman
that
who owned the
Korean
store.
girl. Yeah, but I don't know if that's been like happening in Minnesota. I don't. I'm
It's
because
like
I'm
a
not
shit
there. You
show.
know.
Honestly, it's difficult. And I was gonna say something. Oh, because what is the officer's name? His like is Ku Ku Tao, the officer.
I think his name is Two.
Tu Tao something.
If Two, I don't know what his name is,
But
you
the
guys.
Hmong officer who was convicted, that's a very common Hmong name, and people were like, to any two that they could find on Facebook were like giving him death threats, and I had multiple people that I knew in like the Hmong community being like, please stop messaging my cousin. He's not the officer that was involved in the George Floyd murder. So it's like
Yeah.
it's things like that, and it comes from ignorance, and it comes from like a angry place. But yeah, to tie back to what you're saying about Latasha Harlins, like she was like what 12 or like even younger than that.
Yeah, she was like 12 or 13, I think.
And like she was shot because the Korean woman thought she was like stealing from her store, like trying to loot like a soda can. And they were like, well, technically she was stealing, and like the woman got let off. Like she wasn't convicted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's interesting to see how the media portrays everything. And that's why I think it's important to make sure you know your news sources, and also like don't just listen to one news source. And that's one thing that I've learned in the last year, especially, is like I think the best media comes from the community. And I know that sounds like redundant because it's like, well, it's not national news, or it's like, it's not someone, but you're getting the news and the information from someone who is aware with the situation or aware with the area, or it at least knows about the people involved, whether they have a bias to them or not, but can at least provide information.
This bitch is breaking up, my God.
Is it really?
Okay, we got to go.
Okay, we'll be back.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
We're back.
I don't remember what I was saying.
Oh,
So.
I just want, okay, I'll say something. Actually, I'll say two things. One is that if the audio is fucked up, blame Latifah.
What?
Because I don't know if you heard it, I heard it, but it was like breaking up at the end, and that's why I was like, okay, we have to go. And I know it's Latifah because yesterday I was FaceTiming with Latifah, and the screenshot I took, her face is all blurry and mine is fine. And
I don't know what's been going on.
I don't know what's wrong with the internet because I called my little sister and my mom, and their FaceTime was like fine.
I don't know what's going on because like my internet's never been like super amazing. It's so stupid. I hate it here. But like anytime I'm like, no, the internet, like I test it and it's fine. But I do live like completely out in the suburbs, so it's like it's tough. And I think because they're like building more houses around us, like it's getting kind of like sketch, or like it's getting there's more houses and there's more Wi-Fi going on.
Okay, anyway,
Yeah.
and then my second thing I wanted to say was back to that TikTok is that yeah, so the girl was like trying to like say that, oh, Asian community, stay out of Black people's business and let's stay out of each other's business and like whatever else. But I mean, at the end of the day, and I had to say it, at the end of the day, what people like that are trying to like justify or explain away is the killing of an innocent person. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to justify the killing of this elderly person by saying, you guys have never been a part of us, so why would we support you? Why would we support Asian Lives Matter? So that kind of stuck in my craw. I think that's a saying people say. Let me
Stuck in
know.
my craw. That
I
sounds
don't know.
gross.
I've heard that before. I've heard it from a white person. So if you're white, let me know.
Ooh,
Um,
not
so that
not
like
the best, but okay.
so that really was interesting to me because it's like, yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, you're trying to explain away or justify the killing of an innocent person, but it's also interesting because that type of justification is always the type of justification that white people use to like
On
explain
everybody
the killing of a
else.
black person. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So
And
it's
I
just
agree.
it's very weird to see that same rhetoric pop up and it's sometimes it's like you don't even notice. Like I don't even think she noticed that she was using the same rhetoric that white people use to explain the killing of a black person. Like, oh, he's a criminal anyway, or like he was doing this, or blah 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 blah.
Right.
So very interesting.
And I think that's all valid. And I think it's one of those things like once you're oppressed for so long, you will eventually become the oppressor in some type, shape, way, or form. So when I say like I understand her point, like I understand to an extent where it's like I see why that could happen, but I also see like where Asian people are like, well, why would we support you guys? Well, you guys don't support us, and like vice versa. But like you said, like if it comes down to like a life or death situation, like don't use that as an excuse, and like don't try to think that it's like a holier than thou, like, well, that's not me. I told y'all about that, and like you shouldn't have been fucking around. And be like, no, because that's not fixing anything. Like you're not holding anybody accountable for their actions. And I think that that's what a lot of that if that's today's takeaway, if anything, just hold people accountable in
Yeah.
general. Really is like people are getting away with too much shit that they shouldn't be getting away with, and it's really showing now. And I think that's what a lot of people are lacking these days. But
anyway, Latif also wanted to talk about Meghan Markle.
oh yeah, so I like I said at the beginning of the episode, I've been obsessed. And like granted, I kind of have followed them when they had first gotten together. Meghan Markle and Prince, or formerly Prince Harry.
Were you a big like royal family fiend
No,
or
I never
something?
have.
Okay, yeah, me
But
either. I was like, okay.
I watched the first season of The Crown this year.
Okay, work. So you did your research.
I know everything, but I will say I really do like history, and royalty does entice me a little bit. So like I've read up on the royal family. Well, like a lot of royal families. Like I watched Catherine the Great on HBO, and that's like about like the Russian Queen Catherine and like things like that. So I was reading, and whenever obviously with the Meghan Markle thing came up, and they got married, I remember there was a lot of controversy because they were like, she's black. And it's hilarious to me because Meghan Markle is half black, but she is very like white passing, you know?
Yeah.
Like most people wouldn't look at her twice and be like, that's a black girl. And like, honestly, that's something that a lot of mixed people face a lot of the time anyway. Because to me, she looks like Rashida Jones, who is also half black.
She does. Oh my God. Wow.
Like they have the same complexion.
They have the
They
same
look
like
kind of similar.
the same kind of like skinny nose, I guess.
Yeah, but they're both half black. So like that's just how it is. So I know like before they're getting married, and the British press has always tried to paint her as the villain against like Kate Middleton or against the family, things like that. So I don't know if you guys have watched the interview or have like read about it, but it's like pretty spicy stuff. Like
Yeah, in the interview, wasn't she just like, yeah, Kate Middleton is like fine.
Yeah, she was like, she's like, no, she was good. So there was an article that came out about their wedding like 6 or 7 months after the wedding. So it was like way after. So it was like nothing was really going on at the time, but they had waited that long. And they'd published a story saying that Meghan Markle had made Kate Middleton cry at her wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And Meghan came out and told Oprah, she's like, actually it was the opposite. Like I didn't make her cry. She made me cry because they were fighting over like flower dresses and stuff. And
Which is like so stupid, but okay, work.
But at the same time, I'm like, I get it because it's like it's your wedding, and she's marrying to like the royal family. Like it's not something to take lightly. Like All
This
eyes are on
isn't.
them
This
all the
is
time.
okay. This is an aside, but if you ever get married, I will tell you if you have ugly dresses,
I would never
and
have ugly
if
dresses.
you cry then, and I'm like, I'm doing you a favor.
I'm Meghan Markling you.
Yeah.
I don't think
Okay.
I would have an ugly dress. I have an ideal dress in mind, at least for myself, and I have like a color scheme in mind, but like another day, another time. But also Calvin has also like exclusive. He told me that he'll never be in my wedding.
I will
So,
not be in your wedding.
do you know how ugly that is?
I will plan it. I will do like makeup. I'll do everything else. I'll like cook. I'll make a cake. I will not be in your wedding party.
Calvin's just gonna show up in like a silk button-up shirt and like call it a day.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I hate it. Anyway,
Anyway.
royal weddings. So basically, it was a lot about that and about a lot of how she was being painted as the villain. And as most, if not as everybody should know, Prince Harry's mother was Princess Diana of Wales, who was married to his father, who I think his name is.
Is it Prince Charles? No.
Is it Charles? Is it?
I don't know. Some guy.
Oh, their Philip? Dad.
Yeah.
Is it Philip? Or is Philip the guy that?
I don't know. I thought you did your research. Damn, I guess not.
I don't care about him, truthfully, but because he's an ass. He got okay. So a lot of people speculate that Princess Diana got killed after she divorced her husband, because she knew all these things about the royal family. I had watched the Princess Diana in Her Own Words documentary a couple months ago because I do like Princess Diana. Like I like her, what she stands for, and like how she stood up for herself and things like that. But a lot of the reason that she stepped away is because I think Harry had recognized a lot of the same behaviors in his wife that his mom was going through. And that's why they left, because a lot of people don't know, or a lot of people who don't follow things don't know that like Princess Diana at the time had like tried to commit suicide, I think twice. She suffered with bulimia like throughout her life after she started dating her husband. I'm pretty sure it's Charles. I'm like 90% sure.
This bitch is obsessed with the royal family. I think the royal family is like royalty entices a lot of people because it's so like archaic and like, you know, everyone loves like princesses and stuff, but like that's really it. Like there's no royal family that's like big. This is it. Like,
and they're all like incestual. That's
yeah,
the
after
other
they
thing.
die, it's like that's it, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, her husband's name was Charles, and she became bulimic after he was like, "Oh, you're getting a little chubby." So she became bulimic after
She's
that.
Like, you fat bitch.
Basically, and she literally threw herself down a flight of stairs while she was pregnant and told him that she's like, I want to kill myself. I don't want to be here anymore. And this was in front of the queen. And he literally was like, you're being dramatic. And then like left to go ride a horse. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so obviously they end up getting a divorce. And
how do you feel about the queen? Is she crazy?
Her Royal Highness? I don't know. I don't really follow. Like she's old now. Her husband seems like he's about to die. He's like 99.
Don't you just feel like she's not even a part of it? I don't know.
I feel like and that's the thing.
Like she's old. I feel like she's like, what the fuck?
She's hella old. She's the longest reigning monarch that has reigned in that family in history. And I'm sure her son is just like, just fucking die so I can be king.
Well, because like, I feel like she's old and she like doesn't give a fuck, you know? But maybe that's just because like, I know that in the interview, Meghan Markle was like, yeah, and they're like wondering about like Archie's skin tone. He's gonna come out dark, but like, did the Queen say that, or like, did someone
disclose? They like refused to disclose that because they didn't want to ruin or like tarnish anybody's name for saying stuff like that. But
yeah, but it's also like, I was also like,
who else would say it?
No, I'm not shocked by this. Like, this is not shocking to me at all that a white royal family is racist. Like, wow.
Like, these people are like
like, bitch, what you think?
Like, her husband, Queen Elizabeth's husband, is literally 99 years old. So, like, he was definitely around. And I believe part of the family were Nazi sympathizers also. So, like, yeah, obviously there are going to be some people who are like not about mixed race because they're fucking old. But I will say Queen Elizabeth is very against like adultery. Because I know that even after her son and divorced Princess Diana, he wanted to be with his mistress and get married to her, but like she forbade it until like 2002. And like they had been together since like the 80s, and she was like, nope, sorry, don't allow it. Like you fucked up. So I don't know. And honestly, I try not to read into it too much, but what I really wanted to get at was I think it's very admirable for Harry and Meghan to kind of stand up for what they believe in the life that they want out of this. Like, despite like he gave up an entire country, like an entire lifestyle, the entire life that he knew for his entire, like for his whole life. Like he said his brother hasn't really talked to him since. His dad has kind of been estranged. His grandma's kind of estranged at this point. And it's because of the way that the media and his family treated his wife, which honestly is really nice to see, because I feel like a lot of the time you don't see that. But Meghan Markle said like, yeah, she became suicidal and she'd never felt that way and had reached out for help. And when you do that, and like I kind of said this earlier, the monarchy in Britain is like such a facade. Like they don't really do anything. They're not really in charge of anything. It's just like
Wait,
they're just there.
how do you feel? Are you like that good for her, or are you more of the team like she should have said bye, like, you know what I mean? Like she should have never been there. Like obviously you thought that you should have known that they were racist. Or are you like, oh my God, love is love. Like
I think
I'm
that
glad
love
they're
is love.
together.
Like they wanted to be together. She had no
Yeah, but
anticipation.
would you like stay with a partner even though his family was racist? Would you do that? I could
I
never do that.
I don't think I could do it, only because I would never want someone that I care about to be estranged from their family because of me. Does that make sense?
I guess.
Like I wouldn't want to be the reason.
You would be like, go back to your racist family.
I would be like, I don't want to be the reason that your family doesn't want to talk to you.
I would be like, I don't want to be a part of that family because they're racist, and
And
I
that's
don't
it
want to be a part
too.
of. I
Like,
don't want to be with you then because obviously you're gonna be crazy, and I don't want to deal with your crazy family.
but at the same time, that's not what happened in this case. Like he left his entire family to be with her and like have his own family.
Is that a love story? Do you think?
I think there's something very admirable about it. Like there is something to respect about it, because he had everything and anything that he wanted in life. Like when they left, they were cut off financially. They lost their titles. After their son was born, they were basically like, yeah, he's not going to be a prince. He's not getting a title. He's not going to have any security. And they're like, what? And they're like, yep, sorry. So like to be treated that way, and it's like very blatant that it was probably a race thing, is really ugly. And it says something to me that he's willing to stand up for her and like put his wife first, because that's who he is building a family with.
Is that like romantic to you though? Like, are you? Is that like, oh wow, like, oh my God, like this man would do anything for her? Because for me specifically, and that's because I'm not a big. Okay, how do I say this? This story, because one, I'm not a big fan of the royal family. I like don't
Mm-hmm.
follow them, and two, because like I said, I would never allow myself to be in love with someone with like fucking crazy family.
Right.
To me, this story is like, it's like I don't care, you know. And to me, I'm like, she should have like up and left, because I would never want to be with someone like that, or with a family like that. Not that
Well,
I'm blaming her, but
no, and
it's
I'll
like,
say like
girl,
she's
go.
estranged from her family as well, kind of, sort of. So I think both of them were, and I see what you're saying, because like during the interview, I think he had said something about like, um, I didn't know I was trapped, and it wasn't until it wasn't until I was with her that I kind of figured things out. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like that sounds a little controlling to me. But I think there's something that's romanticized about a man willing to give up everything to be like with anybody, willing to give up everything and they have in their life to be with the person that they love, which
Hmm.
to me was kind of stupid. because love isn't going to fix everything.
Yeah.
But what really gets me, and the kind of the main thing that I really wanted to get into, is like the whole race issue and how they were
Yeah.
treated, and like they literally had to leave because of how she was being treated, and they like he gave up an entire country because he was like, wow,
And
you guys
that
are
is
racist
so
AF.
crazy to me because it's crazy to me because she is a mixed race woman that is white passing. So it's not about like looking black. Because she, to be honest, as a non-black person, she doesn't look black to me. Okay.
She looks like maybe Latina.
Yeah. But
At most.
it was never about looking black or looking a certain way. It is about like one drop. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you got one drop of like, I don't know, like black blood or whatever in you. You genetically you're black.
And her
That's
baby is super, super white passing. Like that baby is pale.
yeah.
He's cute.
That is what's crazy to me. That they would be so bold. First of all, bitch, you're the king, bitch. You look like you're gonna die.
He is gonna
Like you
die.
got bags under your eyes, bitch.
He
Your
is
skin
gonna die.
is
He's
fucking
been in the hospital
translucent.
for like the last 2 weeks or something.
You know, and you guys like, hello, the royal family. You guys are not sickening, okay?
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like it's a lot of. I think I posted a meme the other day and it was like mixed baby. It's the kombucha girl. It was like mixed baby, no. Incest, yes. Because a lot of
Oh, kombucha girl, yeah,
yeah,
Brittany Broski. Oh my god.
because a lot of people that are and this is something that predominantly happens in white people because of like inbreeding and like royal family and like bloodline is that was it called hemophilia, where your blood doesn't
Mhm.
clot, or like if you fall you have like a very weak blood system or something, and a lot of them have that, and it's because they were incestual.
Yeah.
Is that the way you say it? Incestual.
Well, and this is something that I always say. It's like, it's so funny to me that white people think that they are the superior race. It's like, bitch, step outside. You can't even handle the fucking sun. Like, you think that you're so superior, bitch. You can't even protect yourself from UV rays. Like, that's so funny
You
to me.
can't go outside.
Yeah, go outside, bitch.
So it's things like that. But yeah, I just wanted to touch because I think it was a big thing this last couple weeks, and it does have to
Yeah.
touch with like race and like identity, and like I can only imagine.
Well, and it's interesting to see that how race like manifests in
other
pretty much
countries.
other countries, but also every like system, even like in the royal family, in society, in like the police system. It's everywhere. It infiltrates everywhere.
It's something that rules a lot more than I think people realize.
Wow, rules! Wow.
I wasn't on purpose.
Royalty
I
pun, wow.
promise. But yeah, it's like a really shitty thing. But I mean, I wish them the best. They're gonna have a little girl sometime this summer, I think.
She's pregnant?
Yeah, she's having a little girl.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, they announced that it was a girl on the with Oprah.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's interesting just to see kind of like you said, the other aspect of it coming from a different country. And I mean, it's no secret that like Europe is like super racist. Like people in Europe still do like blackface and stuff. So I mean, like it's not shocking.
They do that here. Hello.
I know, but like it's worse in Europe. Like it like open racism. I guess it's just different. Like here, it's like systemic, and it's definitely systemic there too. But the way that people show it is just different. So I think it says something that like the media was openly attacking her for being black and like having to be like the evil sister in the family, and then they're like, well, now she's being a crybaby because
that
she can't
is
handle
true.
it.
That's interesting that you say that, because the media was like, she's black, but here in America it would be like more subtle, I guess.
Yeah, because like to me, I mean, I've said it already. Like she's black.
Like okay.
Like,
for like, okay, remember when like Beyonce was at the Country Music Awards and that people were like, she doesn't do country music, and it's like, yeah, she's black. Just say she's black. But over in the UK, they're like, Megan Markle's black.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean?
Like,
yeah.
Okay, which is hilarious to me because so many like African people live in Europe or live in the UK. So I'm like, so what the fuck are they like? And maybe it's not even just that she's just black. And I guess this is just coming to me now. Maybe it's because she's American too.
American, yeah.
And like she's an actress. I mean, I know what's her name. Grace Kelly went through the same thing when she married the Prince of Monaco. She like gave up her acting career. And
Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly.
yes. So she had to do that, and like, oh, you're marrying an American actress, like how crazy. So I don't know if it's that, but like to me, I don't even think that she was that prominent of an actress.
I know. I was like, man, are you an actress?
I was like,
Are you
who?
sure?
So yeah, it's like things like that, but it was just, it's sad to see because it's like you would think in 2021 that we would have evolved to be better than this as humans, but like obviously not, you know?
Yeah, don't be surprised.
Yeah. But that's it. I know this episode's getting a little long. Unless you have something else you want to talk about or say.
Nope.
Okay. All right, guys. Good job. Well, that's it. Thanks for listening.
That's that on that, you guys.
That's that on that.
That's a wrap. Should we FaceTime Gary? Oh, oops. Well, okay.
I'll just see because Miguel came over today. I'm not going to Miguel's house. He's outside my room, but I think he's still in a meeting. I don't really know. I can kind of hear him, or he might just be talking to somebody.
He's in a meeting.
Yeah, he has meetings for like a lot of the organizational stuff that he's in too. So, but yeah, Gary said, yeah, I mean, we can quick, I guess we can recap, but yeah, guys, thanks for listening. Let us know.
This was a long one, but I hope you liked it. Bye.
Yeah, bye guys. Love you, miss you.
Bye.
Have a good one.